Hi everyone. So today I wanted to discuss a book I've been reading recently. It's called A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. It's a novel that follows a witch called Diana Bishop who doesn't use her magic for reasons that you can find out in the book if you read it. You find out very quickly though, but I still don't want to ruin it for you. To tell you a little bit more about Diana, she is a professor at the University of Oxford who studies alchemy, specifically the history of alchemy. So she does a lot of research with old manuscripts. She discovers a very old manuscript called Ashmole 782, I believe, which she doesn't realise at the time, but is a very important manuscript to the three species that this novel follows: vampires, witches, and demons. When she finds this manuscript, she knows there is something magical about it, but she sends it back to the stacks because she doesn't like to use her magic, so she doesn't want anything to do with this manuscript. There are lots of things that I really liked about this book. I really liked the scientific grounding of the novel. I love books that have a very complex history, and this one, I think, because of its involvement with Darwin and the exploration of evolution and different species, I could believe it a lot easier. So I'm going to go into a bit more detail about the novel now, starting with the relationship between Diana and Matthew Claremont, who she meets in the library early on in the novel. I don't believe it. A lot of that has to do with the dialogue, I think, the writing style. I didn't particularly enjoy it. I didn't like that everything that was said was explained. All the emotion was explained, the feeling, the reactions, they were all explained. Opposed to letting the reader speculate, I suppose, on the feeling themselves. As a reader, we don't have the chance to explore the feelings and the emotions. I saw a lot of allusions in this novel to Twilight. Whether it was coincidence or not, I'm assuming that the author read Twilight. I saw a lot of similarities between the relationship between Matthew and Diana and Bella and Edward. Even Jacob, there is a Jacob-esque character in the library that Diana spends most of her time. I think I'm just bored of seeing the devices used so frequently in literature now. I'm bored of seeing the weak, submissive female character when there is that, inhumanly strong, masculine, controlling boyfriend. I'm bored of seeing it, and I think a lot of people are, which is one of the reasons I didn't enjoy the book as much as I really wanted to. I love the history, but then there's that overbearing relationship with so much Twilight reference. It's Jane Eyre as well, and I don't enjoy the character of Jane Eyre in literature. I'm bored of it. I would much rather see a strong female lead taking control of the scenario. One moment in the book where she frequently says, "I can take care of myself," when we know that she can, and she doesn't really. Matthew is always there. She can't ride a horse without him stopping her and telling her not to do it again because that was silly. Um, it's boring. Fantasies, it's an amazing genre, and I'm bored of seeing submissive female characters in it. There was one thing that made it very difficult for me to follow the novel. It switches from first person to third person. I don't have a problem with multiple perspectives in a novel if it's relevant, and it flows easily and it's in one format. If it's in first person, surely the intention is that you experience what's happening on a very emotional, personal level with the protagonist, but it switches to third person of other characters. Matthew, his friend in Scotland, whose name I can't even remember because it wasn't even that memorable. it wasn't memorable what he was speaking out about. It was just dropping information and emotion and reactions to what were happening. It switches to Marcus's perspective at one point, and it didn't seem necessary. I think if Deborah Harkness wanted to get across all those different perspectives and show more information of what was happening, then I think she should have done it all in third person. Because to be honest, Diana's perspective is not very internalized, no more than it could be in third person. I write in first person. I like to read in first person, but I also like third person because, like, you know, that kind of all-knowing, all-seeing narration that you can enjoy a lot more. But it was both. I didn't think we needed that much insight into Diana's character because there really wasn't that much depth, especially not for what happened, what was happening in the novel. It could have all been in third person, as far as I'm concerned. And it really bothered me that it switched between first and third. I know it probably wouldn't bother that many people. I would have just preferred first or third. I wouldn't have intertwined them. I've made a note, and I can't remember what it means, so I'm just going to check in my book. It was a comment on Hamish's accent. Deborah has tried to incorporate the history of Hamish's character into his voice, but it doesn't make sense. Hamish's accent was mostly Oxbridge with a touch of something else. In his case, it was the burr of Glasgow streets. That's not an accent reference, and it shouldn't have been used in that way. It doesn't make sense, and it bothered me a little bit. But I did like something that I've just seen again. It once led to a palace and now led nowhere, an odd remnant of a grand life no one wanted to live anymore. I really liked that part. It tied into the history of the characters a lot better than the reference to the accent did later on. I think the contrast there of what we see modern day and what Matthew knows was there in the past and has experienced and misses, it was very well written, even though it was in third person, and it bothered me because it was first person up until this point at chapter 9. I really liked that reference to the past. I think that's what Deborah Harkness does really well. She references the past and the history of the characters really, really well, but it goes off on tangents sometimes. I do comment a lot on the quality of writing that I read, and that's not a dig at the author because the story is fantastic, but I study writing, and I know most people reading this novel wouldn't comment on the same things that I comment on, which is fine, but it's something that I didn't enjoy while reading it. But again, like I said, I like the reference to history, science, the past. I think was really well interpreted into modern day in this novel, and I liked the story. I probably won't be reading the sequel. This is just one of those books that I cannot read another of because I don't connect with the writing style. I find it difficult to believe in the relationship because of the way that they're written. There are even aspects of the science that I found a bit degrading to read because they were written as if I wouldn't understand, so it was simplified. And I love science. I love science fiction, and I love that intricacy of scientific research, but I don't feel like she delivered on that, unfortunately. To rate this book, I would give it a 6 out of 10. If you like the history of witches and vampires and demons, if you like that idea of the novel that I've presented, I would go out and grab a copy or get it on your Kindle. I think it is an enjoyable read. The next book on my to-read list is J.R. Ward's Dark Lover. My friend Georgie loves the Black Dagger Brotherhood series, and she said so much about it that I had to go out and buy a copy. So I will hopefully be reviewing this next. I hope you enjoyed my review and possibly go out and grab a copy of this book. I will see you next time.